Today we're going to finish the 1.2 or no 1.2 Alex assignment. We worked on the factoring challenge. So if I gave you, can you think of, that's an M. Can you think of two numbers that multiply to be 45, negative 45, and add to be 4? Multiply to be negative 45 and add to be 4. So negative 5 and positive 9. All right. What about multiply to be 13 and add to be 12? Twelve and 1. Okay. Multiply to be... Oh, thank you. There we go. Good catch. What about multiply to be 60 and add to be negative 4? Oh, it's got to be a negative 60. Negative 6 and positive 10. That's what I meant. Okay. So, if I had 2x minus 6, what can I factor out of that? A 2. So I yank a 2 out of each of those. And then if I take the 2 out, what's left? X minus 3. Because this is 2 times x and this is 2 times 3. So I'm going to remove the 2's. And I'm left just with an x and a negative 3. Okay. If we had one that was a little bit more complicated, so 12x to the third minus 18x. What can I pull out? Well, what do 12 and 18 have in common in terms of factors? Uh-oh, she's on her phone. Are they cute? Oh, it's totally not worth it then. They never are. I hope so too. So, if you're not totally sure how to do this, you can just factor. So 12 is made up of a 4 and a 3, and the 4 is made up of a 2 and a 2. So this is 2 times 2 times 3 times x times x times x minus, what is 18 made up of? 9 and 2, and the 9's turn into a pair of 3's. So 2 times 3 times 3 times x. Well, what do they have in common? They share a 2 and a 3 and an x. Wow. That was interesting. So, what do I pull out? A 2 times a 3, which is 6, and an x. And then what's left over? 2x squared minus 3. Okay. Now we're going to factor quadratic equations, which is something you learned last year. This should just be review. If I had x squared minus 8x plus 12, then I prefer, if you can do this in your head, great, but I like using the multiply box. We stick the x squared in, and we stick the 12 in, and then we multiply those together, and I get 12x squared. Now we play the factor challenge game. What two numbers multiply to be 12x squared and add to be negative 8. So my options are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, or 3 and 4. And the answer is 6 and 2 if I make them both negative. The difference is I also have an x squared, which means 2x, negative 2x, and negative 6x. Okay? Negative 2x, negative 6x. And now I ask, what do these two have in common? X. Now, if I take an x out of here, what's left? X. If I take an x out of here, what's left? Negative 2. And then I look at this column. If I take an x out of a negative 6x, then I have negative 6. And you can always check to see if you did it correctly by multiplying this number and this number to see if you get that number. And negative 6 times negative 2 is 12, so I did it correctly. Which means the factors are x minus 2 and x minus 6. Does that make sense? All right. What if I had x squared minus x minus 56? Well, I draw the factor box, put the x squared in place and the negative 56, multiply those together, negative 56x squared, and the factors are 1 and 56, 2 and 28, 3 doesn't work, 4 and 14, 5 doesn't work, 6 doesn't work, 7 and 8. Can I build a negative 1x with any of those numbers? 7 and 8. And I need to create a negative 1, which means negative 8x and 7x. What does the top row share? X. And if I take an x out, then I get x minus 8. And if I take an x out of this, I get plus 7. X minus 8 times x plus 7. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do 4x squared minus 8x minus 96. Ooh, wait a minute, that won't work. Yeah, 96. Can I pull anything out? 12 does not go into 4 or 8. So 4 is the least, or the greatest common denominator. Or wow, greatest common factor. There we go. So I'm going to remove a 4 out of each of those. 4 times x squared minus 2x minus 24. Okay. Do I need that 4? Yeah, it's a factor of the original equation. So I draw the box, x squared and negative 24. What factors of negative 24 add to be negative 2? And it would be negative 6x and 4x. What if there aren't factors? What if you can't find a set that works? Then it just doesn't factor. It's like saying factor 19. It's prime. It doesn't factor. So a quadratic that doesn't factor is referred to as prime. Okay. Pull out an x, and I get x minus 6 and x plus 4. But don't forget, this is part of the answer. So 4 times x minus 6 times x plus 4. Okay. Do you guys want to see more, or do you think you want to do one more? Okay. Can I take anything out? A 3. So 3 times x squared. If I remove a 3 from the 27, what's left? 9. Because 27 is 3 times 3 times 3. If I get rid of one of them, then I still have a pair of 3's left over. So minus 9x plus, if I take a 3 out of 60, I'm left with plus 20. So draw the box. X squared and 20. Multiply those together. 20x squared. So 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 3 does not work, 4 and 5. Can I build a negative 9 using a pair of those? Negative 4x and negative 5x. So x minus 4, x minus 5, and don't forget the 3. 3 times x minus 4 times x minus 5. All right. So today you're just going to finish 1.2, and then we'll move on next time. When you get done, work on your topics, your AlexPy, please.